Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And in today's lesson, I wanted to deal with, understanding what it means to deal with the Lord. Okay, and ultimately coming down to mastering the art of patience. Because when you deal with Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, you got to understand that everything really the Lord does on his time is really the perfect time, because we are not omniscient beings, right? We're not all knowing. The Lord has revealed to us, pursuant to Amos 3:7, his secrets, okay, which is the insight that we have into certain matters pertaining to prophecy, right, and concerning the scriptures. But we didn't create the world. We didn't declare the end from the beginning, right? We're not the ones who declare new things and then tell ourselves of it before they spring up. No, the Lord does that. So even though, just as the scriptures say, there's a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end of his death, even though in our minds, depending on what we desire or need or want, or sometimes even what we think we need, a lot of the times there's always like a sense of urgency. I mean, which is good, right? You pray to the Lord with a sense of urgency. You beseech the Lord, you inquire for whatever it is you need, you desire, or you're looking for. But sometimes the Lord, deals in a manner it's almost like there's a lag, right? Sometimes the Lord, does whatever he's doing immediately, but that varies from request to request, right? And when you come to serve the Heavenly Father and his Son, you have to understand patience. You have to understand the concept of patience, and not just understand it, but you have to be able to show patience, right? When you request something, you pray to the Lord, there are certain things that just don't happen overnight. But in our minds, because, we're like, whoa, but, the Most High is the Most High. He could just snap his finger and then boom, everything happens. But as the angel even told Ezra, that the Lord does not, move, right, nor stir the times until the set measure be fulfilled. So there's a process that the Lord has set up for everything. Everything has a process in the way that it works. The Lord doesn't just, all right, I'm just going to, override this and do that, whenever, just because. No, there's a process, and he created the process for a reason. So even if you don't see what's happening behind the scenes to set this up and do this and do that, the Lord still, has a process that's going on. For example, the Lord could have it to where you would never go hungry during a famine. You just pray to the Lord and he's just like, boom, he just rewires your body. And now you just, instead of eating food, you just breathe air, and it has the same effect. But why would he do that? I mean, he could, but he could also just feed you, right? By, now, once again, there's another thing. He could materialize food out of thin air. But then again, he could also have it to where maybe you run into somebody or you run into a store. Imagine during a famine, right? And you stumble across this store, like the Lord leads you via, an angel or a chariot or even an animal, right? And he leads you to the store. You find a way through the vents, and then you end up in the store. And now we're talking about like a store that is completely locked down, blocked off on all sides. And the only way in or out is through that tiny vent that you somehow stumbled upon. And this is a whole sale, like damn near like BJ's or Sam's Club or freaking Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, something like that. And everything in there is just fresh. It's not expired. There's nothing wrong with it. The Lord can do that. Now you may say, well, yeah, the Lord could also just rewire your body so you don't get hungry anymore. But there's a process for how humans work, and the Lord created that. So he sticks to his process. He will provide food for you so that you can eat. But why bypass, that process of you having to eat, your digestive system, like all of those things? He created that for a reason. So the point I'm making here is sometimes you pray for something, and the process it takes for that thing to be fulfilled it's a wow. You go to the store and you go to a restaurant and you order, the food doesn't come right away. The stores where you just go, Popeyes and so on, you just go and boom, 2 seconds later, it's because the chicken is already dead. The thing been there for like hours, days, probably even. Maybe they picked up the ones that fell on the floor yesterday and then re-racked it. You wouldn't know. But it's right there. They just scoop it off the little rack behind them and then put it in a box, and there you go. It's quick and easy, but it's not fresh. The restaurants, the expensive ones, the ones where they actually go and make the food, yeah, the food is going to taste better, but you have to wait. Okay? You have to wait. So I want to start off here with the book of John, chapter 4, verse 24. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. And a part of that, of the spirit, right? Because you have to worship the Lord in spirit, but in the right spirit. And a part of that is understanding the spirit of the Lord and how he requires you to worship him in spirit and in truth. And, there are certain virtues that are in the scriptures that, it's easy to just look at it very lightly more in an abstract sense and less of a practical sense, because we talk about it so much. But things like patience and temperance and virtue and brotherly love and all of these things, it's also, you have knowledge, right? Knowledge, you can gain knowledge, you can pray to the Lord for wisdom. But these are some traits that are very important as well to look at on a practical level. Like, look in your life and examine yourself, cross-reference or cross-check yourself against these traits and see, like, how well do you actually exhibit these things? Like, how well do you actually show faith? And if you're not sure what that looks like, look, there are many accounts of different instances in the scriptures where men and or women had to show faith. And you go back and read those accounts and analyze it. If you don't understand what it looks like to show faith on a practical level, go and read that account and analyze it, right? For example, go and read about the situation with Daniel, right? When he was thrown into the lion's den, or the 3 holy children when they were cast into the fire. And read it and take your time and look at what point were they showing faith and how, why, how, like, how does that work? Because they did it practically. And when you understand that, now you know what you're looking for, then you scan your life and see how often do you do that? How well do you, show faith? When you pray to the Lord for something, or you ask the Lord for something, how well are you, without any proof, without any signs, without anything, the Lord showing you, how well are you able to maintain that calmness of mind, actually believing that your prayers were heard, or believing that the Lord is going to resolve the situation for you, against all the negative thoughts that try to come into your head to, like, scare you and stress you out. And, hey, this is a really, really big deal. You better make sure you handle it, because if you don't, you're cooked. Right. And then you still keep the faith and so on. And then boom, the Lord delivers. Right. Look at those things and see how well you're doing and how can you do more of that? Because remember that if you pray for more faith, the Lord is going to give you opportunities to test your faith. That's what's going to happen when you pray for more faith. You tell somebody, hey, I want to get in shape. What are they going to tell you? Are they going to just, hold on one second, they're going to reach into their back pocket, boom, they're going to pull out a sensu bean from Dragon Ball Z and be like, boom, yeah, I've been holding on to this for this very moment. Had a dream when I was 6 years old I'd meet you. No, they ain't going to give you no magic bean and you eat that and now you're in shape. It doesn't work that way. What are they going to recommend to you? Nutrition, your diet, and going and exercising, going to the gym, being active. Those are the things they're going to recommend to you. But wait. What do those things actually do? Will they force you to do something that will in turn result in you getting this increase in, being in shape or, more muscles or being faster or stronger, whatever it is. But I want to be smarter. I want to know more about this. Once again, are they going to give you some special glasses and then all of a sudden or a helmet and you just know everything? No. They'll provide you with you know what? You want to know more about this? Okay, here's a book on it. Here's a YouTube video. Here's a website you can read about, and then you go and read. And that's how you learn more about it. So even in the normal things in your life, nothing is just like that, right? There's a process for everything. How much more for faith? You ask the Lord for faith and you think that one is just magically different. You got to work for everything else, but that one is just magically different. He just snaps his fingers and then there's faith in your spirit. No, he puts you in a position to exhibit faith. Like going back to the gym example, if you want to get stronger and if you go to the gym and you lift weights, but you don't push yourself, you don't put your body under enough stress to where it has to adapt, you're not really going to get stronger. You just go in there and do the easy things. You're not really going to get stronger. So when you pray for an increase in faith, the Lord is going to put you in situations where you're forced to show a level of faith you haven't shown before. And usually, practically speaking, that's by putting you in more situations that are more intense, scarier, situations where you don't know if you don't know where a carnal solution at least is going to come from. But you know the consequences are very, very, very bad. Very bad. And you're just like, yo, oh my goodness, like what's going on? Yeah, that kind of stuff. And the equivalent of that is when you go to the gym and you lift heavy, or you lift, weights that challenge you. You have to, you get to that point where you're just like, oh, it's so heavy, but you got to push, but and finally lift up that weight. Yeah, you're tapping into, you're basically forcing your body to say, look, you need to be stronger. You need to give me more strength right now. You can't give me the strength you've been giving me every time. No. You got to give me a different kind of strength so I can lift this damn weight that's above my head. I damn sure I'm not about to have this bench fall on me while these chicks around here. Hell no. Right. So likewise with faith, the Lord says, you asked for it. You said you wanted to get stronger. You said you wanted more faith. So expect the situations that force that faith out of you. And guess what? Just like once you lift that weight, you do it again. It's repetition. Eventually it becomes normal because you've adapted. You become stronger. So same thing with patience. You ask for more patience. Don't expect to just magically wake up one day and then you're calm. Just like chill about everything. Now the Lord can have you, he can put a spirit on you to where you're calmer, but that's not just going to magically happen overnight. Sometimes that's through, imagine asking for more patience and the Lord, all of a sudden, every 2 seconds, there's something really, really annoying or frustrating that's happening in your life. And you're wondering, yo, where's all this coming from? Like, why do I have to find myself in a situation where under normal circumstances, I would have already lost my shit. Like, I'm so pissed off right now. Like, this is so annoying, but you got to stay calm. And the more and more you go through the situations and you realize and the Lord doesn't give you the answer right away, right? He just throws you in the situation. All of a sudden, it just comes upon you, some random shit out of nowhere. What's going on now? And you may have prayed a week ago, and then this situation happens 2 months down the line, and you've completely forgot that you were praying for this one thing. And now you're wondering, damn, did I do something wrong? Like, is the Lord trying to punish me for? No. But there's a process. He was preparing the right situation. And in order to do that, you remember, there's billions of spirits on the earth, and different spirits that are going to play a role in your test need to be prepared. Maybe somebody who's going to be the next manager at your job just moved from one area to the next area. They were going through an interview process. They had to get hired. And now they've replaced your old manager. And now they're just a demon who's stressing you out. But 2 months ago, you were praying for more patience. So the Lord brought this demon into your life, into your workplace. And now you got to tolerate them. And that's for you. And you're wondering why 2 months later? Well, it's a process. You have to move, you have to get hired, you have to go through the interview process, and all of these things. So the Lord works very meticulously, and in fact, so detailed, so I don't even know what word to use for it, but the Lord's works are so perfect that we're not able to even keep track of when and what he's doing at what time. We just feel the effects of it. And before you know it, bam. So I did quote a precept earlier. I want to pull it up real quick. See, I think it might be in Proverbs. So, recapping sort of what I said there. Yeah. These are the same anyway. So we'll read Proverbs 14 and 12. But before reading it, recapping what I said there, you have to understand that the Lord works on his time. But two things here, right? If it's not time, it's not going to work. All you're going to do when you force or try to, do it your way is you're going to put yourself in a much unnecessary situation that's just going to make your life more difficult. And it still is not going to change anything because the Lord has not given the green light, so it's not going to work, right? But on the contrary, if the Lord says, yes, it's go time, there's nothing that can stop it, not even you. Even if you didn't move, it'd be like you were standing on a escalator and it's just moving you. But the Lord will get you from point A to point B when it's time, effortlessly. Okay? So that's how the Lord works. But when you master the art of patience, you can understand the Lord better. You can appreciate how the Lord works in your life better. And really, you don't stress as much, because if I know that I'm stuck in a room and the Lord says, you're not getting out of here until 3 days later, why am I going to bloody my fist, punching against the wall, screaming and trying to just stressed out? Bro, you're going to wait there for 72 hours because you're not getting out until 3 days later. That's what the Lord said. Whatever you do now, when you punch the walls and hurt your fist, you're just in pain for the rest of the duration. It doesn't change anything. So why not just calm down? I mean, whether you're calm or whether you're agitated, it's still going to be 3 days. Why take the painful route? And a lot of people don't sit down and actually think about these things. Well, you know what? If I just got to wait on the Lord, why should I wait in pain when I can just calm down and just chill, save energy, relax? If anything, all I got to do is wait. It's better than it's better that the Lord have you wait than for him to tell you, no. See, you're going to need to go and pick up a freaking half a ton boulder and drag that shit up Mount Everest and come down and do it 5 more times. See, if the Lord says something like that, then it'd be a problem. But then he just says, wait, and that's also a problem. So what you want? Right? So in any case, when you understand patience, your interactions, and understanding the Lord's dealings is much more seamless. It's smooth because, you're like, you know what? The Lord is controlling everything. I'm really kind of like in passenger seat, right? Almost in like autopilot, because even the decisions I make, and then when I say I'm going to do this, and he's really controlling all that. So just pray and then just see how these events play out. Sometimes it looks bad. Sometimes it feels bad, but the end result is better. It's good. You just got to sort of go with it. Go with the flow. Doesn't mean don't think, but you can't resist the will of the Lord. This is Proverbs 14 and 12. There is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. So like I was mentioning earlier, sometimes you think it's perfect timing, but the Lord, who is omniscient, you have to be reminded of that, does not allow it to happen. You're wondering how, why? I can't see anything wrong with this plan. I don't understand why. Why can't it happen right now? Yeah, you don't understand. And you're right. You can't see what's wrong with it because you can't see beyond the present time that you're in. You may know the things the Lord has revealed to you, but you can't see every single detail. Like the saying goes, I taught you everything you know, but not everything I know. So that's why we rely and trust on the Lord. Now I'm saying all this, but it's easier said than done. I will admit that it is easier. It's much easier said than done. Patience while suffering is difficult. It's very, very difficult, but it's not impossible. Okay. And if it's not impossible, then it's really up to how bad you want it, how bad you need it, how far are you willing to go? Because if it's a matter of pain, but it's possible, then that comes down to how strong are you? How strong is your will? Okay. I'm trying to see if there's any other points that I wanted to make, but I think that was pretty much it there, right? So in conclusion, the lesson is about having patience, but also, taking a more practical stance on these important virtues and characteristics mentioned in the scriptures, right? The Elder Atazo mentioned this, a couple of days ago. I was thinking about it, right? Like, this is how you improve yourself. This is a part of how you level up. When you sit down, concentrate, focus, and actually put in a concentrated effort on these things, right? Like, brotherly, am I actually brotherly? Am I actually charitable? Or have I just become, is it just become just like I'm just going through the motion, so I don't really think much about it? Or am I just doing it for brothers that I really, really get along with, but other brothers is kind of like, eh? Like, you examine yourself, and then you can see, maybe I could do better here. Maybe I could, like in a concentrated effort, try to be more proactive at doing this or doing that, or being more calm, or being more charitable, or maybe just giving a little bit more of my time for X, Y, and Z. Because a little bit goes a long way if you're consistent with it. And the little efforts you make each day, you'll start to see a difference, and the Lord will see it, and then he'll magnify that. All right. So that's pretty much it for this lesson. Lord willing, that was edifying and exhorting on to the elect. And in closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.